Considered the bill discriminatory towards gays and lesbians. The O'Connors say the law protects businesses just like theirs.
I do not think it is targeting gays, personally. I don't think it's a discrimination. It's supposed to help people that have a religious belief.
While the O'Connors say they would not deny restaurant service to gay couples, they stand firm against catering any gay weddings. Emily Roseman, The Associated Press.
In a high-profile New York City missing child trial, the defense is using a rare strategy. Warren Levinson explains.
It happens all the time in fiction, but in real life hardly ever. A legal defense that asks jurors to conclude someone else did the crime. It is part of the defense strategy in the trial of Pedro Hernandez, who confessed to murder in the 1979 disappearance of 6-year-old Eitan Pates. The defense maintains the confession is the product of mental illness, and it points to another man, Jose Ramos, who was never charged, but found liable for the boy's death in a 2004 civil suit. Among the witnesses called by defense attorneys, prosecutors, and an FBI agent who first made the connection between Ramos and the Pates family. Ramos, who's in jail in Pennsylvania, was not called to testify. Warren Levinson, New York.
Groups for and against the Keystone XL pipeline are sounding off on comments from the head of the Environmental Protection Agency. More from Chris Woodward.
EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy tells Politico that building the Keystone XL pipeline alone would not be a disaster for the climate. Environmental groups and other opponents of the pipeline have said for years that Keystone XL would worsen what they call climate change or global warming because emissions from the tar sands oil field in Canada are bad for the environment. Dan Kish, Senior Vice President for Policy at the Institute for Energy Research.
I commend her for her honesty. These are the same set of facts that the President has had before him from the State Department. There is not a significant impact on additional carbon dioxide emissions.
A spokesman for the Green Group 350.org tells Politico that McCarthy would do well to look at comments from her own EPA, with 350.org warning, quote, that Keystone XL would accelerate development of the tar sands oil field in Canada, which in turn would mean game over for our climate, end quote. Dan Kish says 350.org is wrong about the oil sands.
It is not game over if Canada develops its oil sands. They are going to develop them. The issue is whether we're going to consume the energy here in the United States and benefit from its close proximity and security, or if it's going to go to foreign countries.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Protesters have again disrupted Supreme Court proceedings.
5 people were removed after shouting criticism of the Supreme Court's ruling in a key campaign finance case. One protester shouted, "I rise to claim our democracy, one person, one vote." The others then stood and did the same. It is the second time this year that 99 Rise, a group that opposes the influence of money in elections, has disrupted the High Court's proceedings. It also took responsibility for a similar protest last year.
That's correspondent Jerry Boatlander. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Record budget deficits, bankruptcies galore, and the U.S. dollar is at an all-time low. With today's gloomy economic outlook, safe investments are often hard to find. For over a decade, Melody Cedarstrom at Discount Gold and Silver Trading Company has been helping people secure their future by investing in the precious metals. Melody has the honesty, integrity, and experience that is often lacking in the precious metals business. Let her put it to work for you. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
We still need your help, folks. Simple as that. Pay the light bill, pay the phone bill, pay the roofing bill, and most importantly, buy more squirrel food for the squirrel running out there in the cage in the transmitter so this signal goes out to you. Because quite frankly, you will not hear a show like this on Clear Channel. We need your help. Call Michael, 800-205-6245, 800-205-6245. You can make a pledge on your plastic. You can order a copy of today's show. Past shows we've done, other shows here on the network, that helps us out. You can pick up that envelope and address it to KHNC, P.O. Box 1750, P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, Federal Occupation Zone 80534. Your check, your money order, much appreciated. I guess we'll take the fraudulent reserve notes for a little bit longer. Not much, probably. You could even throw in some just weights and measures, the Lord's money. At the very least, tell your friends and family, tune in 1360 a.m. on the Internet at America News Net, AmericaNewsNet.com, and call the advertisers, folks. Let them know you're out there, you're listening, you appreciate their support of American Freedom Network. It only takes a second. My guest today, new to the show, and this is not an April Fool's show. This is serious stuff, folks. You need to listen up. My guest, Roger Brown, his website, thesociologycenter.com. Thesociologycenter.com. The three articles we're going to be talking about, finish off the show today, the death squads, Obama's America's Pol Pot, and Black Dawn bio attack on America. All available. Just go to Dave Hodges' website, thecommonsenseshow.com, thecommonsenseshow.com. Scroll down. You'll see hear Roger Brown expose death squads, and just click on that, and in there's the link, and you can, you can follow right along. So the death squads, there's basically three types. We've got government sanctioned, which, we could say was the SWAT death squads in training, the hostage rescue team that helped kill the children and the people in the church in Waco. That would be examples of government-sponsored death squads. I mean, we see, Greece, Albania, Argentina, Chile. Those were all government-sanctioned death squads, weren't they?
Yes, they were. And in the case of Greece, they actually drafted people into the torture squads.
Really?
Yes, just like in the regular army, instead of going to a military unit, they were put in and trained to be torturers. Before I go on, let me tell your listeners some of the things that they can find on my website. One of the projects I have is the Post-Apocalypse Recovery Project, where I have information on how to rebuild civilization after a collapse. Such things as how to make charcoal, how to make coke, which would be necessary for smelting steel, basic things that you would need to know how to do to actually rebuild civilization, because one of the things they've done is strip all of our infrastructure of smelting and other technology that we would otherwise be able to use to rebuild civilization. They've actually physically moved that to other countries.
Yes. Well, here's an example. Up just north of me in Pueblo, Colorado, is a steel mill. Used to be CF&I Fuels, owned by Rockefeller. But they had a total 100 complete assembly line for making bombs, okay? All the molds, everything was there. And they had to keep it up and running because of national, defense contract and all this.
Yes.
Well, they got out of that contract, and what did they do? They cut it all up and put it on the trains, and they shipped it to the ports, and guess where it is now?
China. Yes, where they're making the weapons to attack us.
Yes, exactly.
Also on my website, you will find a publication shopping cart page where you can get one of the things that I talk about, the holographic paradigm theory of the structure and function of social processes, which is generalizable to any species with a central nervous system and is actually the the basis for interspecies intelligence collection and analysis methodology that I developed. And William Pollack, some of your listeners may know about him. I would recommend they go see his disclosure video. His last name is Pawelec, William Pollack, disclosure video. He and I actually tried to get a prototype of the neural scanning technology built that the ETs are using, the ones who do the catch and release abductions of human beings. So he and I secretly worked on that for about 10 years before he died, and the people we went to in the government were not able to build it at that time. We still probably do not have the technology to do it, but I keep looking for advances that would be necessary. Also on my website, if you find the button for the Child Slave Trade Project,
yes,
it will take you to about 25 years of information I've collected from around the world on child trafficking, corruption in government, and on that site is the congressional evidence book I wrote. Get to that after the break.
Stay tuned, folks. Continuing on here on the American Freedom Network.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about
I pledge allegiance to the King of Kings and to his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation and our Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org. You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
For free, small book, basically. You can download those. Go to thecommonsenseshow.com, thecommonsenseshow.com. Scroll down, you'll see Roger Brown, Roger Brown Exposed Death Squads. Click on that, and right down in the article is the link. Also on your website, that we won't cover it today, but in the next show we do, Roger, is the Child Abuse Allegation Investigation Instrument, and then your Concise Family Defense Manual, all available on your website. for quite reasonable on PDF. So check that out, folks, thesociologycenter.com. Because we have a criminal enterprise breaking up the family and taking the children, don't we? Did we lose Roger? I guess we lost Roger. Trying to get him back on here. Let me know when you get him back on there, Michael. TheSociologyCenter.com. We'd left off talking about the death squads. They've been there throughout history. We have government-sanctioned ones, which the law enforcement, this Jade Helm exercise coming up here, that, what is this, a practice run, folks? Or will this thing, can this thing possibly go hot on us? Is it a practice run for the death squads, picking up the red list? Those people that would question the powers that be? Roger, you're back with us.
Yes, I am. The line just flat went dead all of a sudden.
Well, sometimes we touch on touchy subjects.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. At least it wasn't a drone trying to do a Boston brakes on my car, which was the last attempt. Getting back to the congressional evidence book, which is on the child slave trade page on my website, I wrote a congressional evidence book on organized crime methods and procedures, like the bureaucracy techniques, the organized crime methods and procedures integrated into the child protection, mental health, and social work systems. It's a 3-megabyte file. It includes a detailed analysis of how the MMPI-2 is rigged to produce false positives. There's no set of answers anyone can give to that could be interpreted as having no mental health problems.
Well, yeah,
it's impossible.
The new manual says that, well, if you're too happy, you're mentally ill. If you're a little too sad, you're mentally ill. If you smile too much, you're mentally ill.
Well, I actually developed a little 3-item question that documented the exact mechanisms used to falsify it. And one of the questions, two of the questions were, I am breathing, yes or no, true or false. I am left-handed, true or false. I am right-handed, true or false. and depending on how you answer those and the scale associations, how they do it is it doesn't diagnose a specific condition. There are scales associated with each answer, and depending on what you do, it increments your score on all of the scales associated with that answer. So, literally, there's no answer you can give that would be a 0 score on any of the scales. It's one of the more ingenious things I've run across, and one of the things that's documented in a book called Freudian Fraud by E. Fuller Torrey, M.D., is that Freud and his gang of associates actually came to the United States to set up a criminal enterprise. And they were highly successful.
Well, and, Russia, communist China, that was the thing. You questioned the state, you must be mentally ill. And that's what we have today. You stand before a judge and you say, Judge, I'm the belligerent claimant standing before you claiming my rights. He said, off for a psychological evaluation there.
Yeah, and that was one of the diagnoses that was actually possible in Russia, was that you were delusional about actually having political rights.
Yes.
Getting back to the death squads, the other two death squads are vigilante death squads. An example of that would be the police in Brazil, who in their off-duty hours would form a death squad and round up street kids and execute them to get them off the streets. The last kind is organized crime and gangs, and I want to give you some idea of how the ideology works in street gangs. There was an interview on CBS Chicago affiliate September 27th, 2012, conducted by Walter Jacobson, who interviewed local gang members. Here's some of what they said. Now, compare these to words you've heard come out of the mouth of our illustrious Justice Department, Eric Holder, and in particular, his recent address to black children, in which he instructed them not to read the Bible, not to read Martin Luther King, but to read Malcolm X, which translates into Whitey's done you wrong, kill Whitey. And here's the ideology that's in existence among gang members. There's no solution to the violence, one gang member tells him. Killing is the solution. Another, rob, steal, and kill. That's the only way. This is really going to sound familiar. We didn't grow up in Beverly Hills. We don't get it handed to us. Another one, we ain't living in Hyde Park. Another one, the police hate us. Every time they ride past us, they shoot us down and do all that. Do what you want to do. I don't care about you at all. Keep riding. Who are you all? We're not scared of you all. I fight you too. Take that badge off. And the last one, I laugh at the police. They're a joke to me. That's an example of the ideology that exists among gang members. And a lot, if not all of these alleged random drive-by shootings that police refer to are actually initiations for the gang-related death squads, because if you remember, one of the things you have to demonstrate is hostility toward members outside the death squad, which in this case would be the gang. And, what could be a better demonstration of that than gunning down a total stranger and, quote, earning your bones, unquote. That sounds familiar?
Yeah.
One of the things that I determined from going through all of this is that there's only one way to deal with this, and it's something that has never been done anywhere in the world where there have been death squads operating. Nobody has ever enacted a law prohibiting the existence of death squads. And I actually developed model legislation to be enacted at the state level to organize state resources into defending people against death squads. And it would also be important because the same principle would be necessary for protecting people from the illegal immigrants being used as biological weapons. The least resources to be organized that could be effective for doing that and protecting the citizens of a state are the state resources. If you get down to the local community, you would really need to keep your local infrastructure and utilities running, which would be really hard to do. Plus, organize the community into defending against armed interlopers. So that the state-level resources organized for everyone's protection is about the only level that has any chance of actually working.
Well, and we've got this going on in communities that are most active that I've heard about are like down in Texas, where they're having weekly meetings and they're going through this and they're talking to their sheriff and the police, being prepared for any quote disaster unquote. And then we've got on the local level, we've got there's a few sheriffs with cojones out there that are standing up to the federal government and questioning jurisdiction. What are you guys doing here? You don't have any jurisdiction here. What are you doing here? So
it's important that they do that, and if there are enough communities, somebody is going to hopefully realize that they actually need to all work together and get the state working on the problems.
Yes, absolutely. But that model legislation is in those downloads, and after we come back from the break, I'll give you that, how to download those, folks. But these death squads, this Jade Helm 15 operation it's going on right now. They're going around trying to get permission from county commissioners and stuff to hold their, quote, exercises, unquote. Do you look at this as a possible training scenario for upcoming death squads?
Well, the death squads are already operating. The Department of Justice imported gang members and expedited them, even transporting them as a group and distributed them around the United States. Eric Holder made all kinds of deals in addition to supplying them with arms. God knows what they've put them into and what kind of training they're giving them. They might actually be putting them into military units to use against citizens.
Okay.
But all of this stuff is integrated, and it's been planned for a long time, and again, through think tanks of both the left and the right have been used to devise all of these nefarious enterprises and how they can be implemented effectively. This isn't something that happens overnight. One of the principles from warfare and intelligence is that wars are planned 5 to 7 years in advance.
And we're on our bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
And we're back. Randy Yarboro with you. My guest today, Roger Brown. His website, TheSociologyCenter.com. TheSociologyCenter.com. The 3 articles that he's made available. It's a small book, but you need to get it. You need to read through this. Go to Dave Hodges' website, thecommonsenseshow.com, thecommonsenseshow.com. Scroll down a little ways. You'll see the headline here, Roger Brown Exposed Death Squads. Punch on that and go down in that article just a little ways, and there's the link to these 3 articles. We've been talking about the death squads. We talked about, starting out in the show, that abomination, the abomination, is America's answer to Pol Pot. And if you look at his background and everything else and the people he's surrounded with and was raised by, then, you would understand exactly what's going on. But we've got another situation going on, Roger, of a biological attack on America that, it's getting no news at all. I mean, we got a little bit of news about it, of all the, quote, children from Central and South America riding the trains and coming north, and, it's like, that quit. Don't worry about that. That's over with now. And it's not on the news screen, so don't worry about it, folks. Go back to sleep. But they're still pouring across the border, aren't they?
Yes, indeed they are. In fact, there was more news in the last few days about several thousand children coming across, I think, over the weekend or something. But yes, it is, and the title of the article is Black Dawn, Barack Obama's Dreamers, Biological Attack on America. And I actually have an asterisk by Dreamers because I turned it into an acronym, Disease Redistribution, Eliminating America's Mindless, Eating, Redundant Stooges. That being us.
The masses out there.
Yes, and so whenever you hear Obama talk about his dreamers, Just know that he's referring to them as disease redistribution, eliminating America's mindless eating redundant stooges. And it is important that everybody understand that this is an organized effort that extends worldwide. To move an army, you know about the infrastructure that's required. And you've got people all over the world suddenly deciding to head to the Mexican border, including kids. This point was made originally by Dave Hodges, but, they want us to believe that kids playing soccer in Argentina suddenly decided to all go north and smuggle themselves through Mexico and all of the countries in between and cross the Mexican border so they can become Obama's dreamers. Kids don't behave that way. Somebody had to recruit them and either promise them something or promise their parents something in return. They had to be fed and transported all of that distance, regardless of whether it's adults or children. Somebody had to organize getting them to the Mexican border and then getting them across, and then it links up with the distribution system that they already had ready and waiting here in the United States. And, literally, they're being placed all around the country. And you've got all kinds of strange diseases showing up. And Kansas, last August, a farmer died from a disease that had never been seen in the entire Western Hemisphere before. It only exists in Eastern Europe, Asia, and Africa. Now, how did that get to Kansas and infect a farmer there? Now, one remote possibility is that it somehow escaped from the former biological warfare research facility at Plum Island that was moved to Kansas. But there's no indication so far that that is what happened, but it is something that would have to be considered as a possible explanation. But, I've been looking for some genetic analysis to identify exactly where it came from, because it had to be matched up with some population somewhere. Now, this is important because all of your children that are going to school with these kids that have been brought in without any of the things that were supposed to happen. Now, this is, in essence, a slow version of exactly what happened on 9/11, where you've got this threat, literally heading across the border and coming into the United States. What is supposed to happen, and what's written into federal code, is that anyone entering this country from a foreign nation has to either have a medical examination beforehand that demonstrates they have no communicable diseases, or they are to be placed in quarantine the instant they cross the border until it is determined that they are disease-free. And these examinations are supposed to be conducted by a physician with at least 4 years' experience. And there's a specific bureaucracy in the federal government that's supposed to implement all of these methods and procedures. And you've never heard them mentioned in any news story whatsoever.
Well, that's what Ellis Island was all about.
Yes, exactly.
You want to come to the United States? Great. But we're going to land you here on this island off the mainland, and we're going to, check you out that you're not contagious, and, that you're not here to do nefarious deeds. But,
yes. Now, that your listeners can read the article, and I actually extensively cite federal code. Now, one important thing that I constructed.
And we'll get to that after the break. Stay tuned here on the American Freedom Network.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Yarboro with you. My guest today, Roger Brown. You can find his website. It's thesociologycenter.com. Thesociologycenter.com. The articles we've been talking about today available for download. Go to Dave Hodges' website, thecommonsenseshow.com. thecommonsenseshow.com. Scroll down. You'll see the headline here, Roger Brown, Exposed Death Squads. Punch on that, and down in the article is the link to these articles. You need to read them. We're on the Barack Obama's Dreamers Biological Attack on America. Now, Roger, do you think that, we're going to talk conspiracy here, that we've got all these thousands of, quote, children, which in one deal was, up to the age of 25, we'll consider them children, yes. So coming across the border, and then we have this huge national hysteria that we have a few cases of measles. And now we got this hysteria. We've got to vaccinate everyone. And so we have these diseases coming across the border, and we got to have vaccinations, which means billions and billions of dollars into the coffers of the pharmaceutical industry. Was this planned, maybe?
Well, I think there's a dead giveaway in terms of clues. One of the things I did was to construct a list from the CDC and from the World Health Organization for each and every country in Central and South America. Now, both the CDC and the World Health Organization have this information for every country on the planet. But it's a list of diseases that you should be concerned about. Now, this is what the CDC says about Belize. All travelers, you should be up to date on routine vaccinations while traveling to any destination. Some vaccines may also be required for travel. Make sure you are up to date on routine vaccines before every trip. These vaccines include measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, and your yearly flu shot. In addition, additional diseases present in Belize are hepatitis A and B, malaria, rabies, and typhoid. What the World Health Organization says about Belize: acute respiratory infection, Chagas disease, dengue, diarrhea, diphtheria, HIV and AIDS, malaria, measles, mumps, pertussis, poliomyelitis, rabies, rubella, sexually transmitted infections. Any kid coming across the border, 13 years and older, is supposed to be specifically tested for sexually transmitted diseases. Continuing on, tuberculosis, tetanus, yellow fever. A number of diseases are listed in the country collaboration strategy, a World Health Organization document which is not available for all nations in Central and South America. So on each country in Central and South America, you have measles on the list. Now, one of the amazing things is that the individuals who contracted measles from Disneyland did so over a 5-day period. Now, I don't know if you're as old as I am, but when I was a kid, the first vaccine I got was the polio vaccine in a sugar cube.
Yes, I remember.
I had measles, I had mumps, I had chicken pox. That's how I got immune to them. Now, I'll tell you, from what I remember about measles, if it was one individual, he somehow managed to go to work for the entire week without collapsing, without coming to the attention of his supervisors that he was sick. The other possibility is that there were multiple individuals from these countries illegally here in the United States who infected other individuals who were also visiting Disney World. Now, I think that's probably the most likely explanation. And again, one thing that's noticeably missing is any genetic analysis of the strain of measles and where it might have originated.
Yes. We couldn't get that. We couldn't let that happen because we might get to the truth of the matter.
Yes.
And
now, you indicated that you may want to take some phone calls. I could probably work in some phone calls in the few minutes we've got left if you have some waiting in the wings.
Absolutely. 877-254-7524. Question, comment. Phone lines are open. In your list of the diseases, the countries, and the diseases in here, when I was going down through that and looking, there's a lot of these that have infectious leprosy.
Yes, and that's in South America.
Yes.
People coming illegally from Asia have an entirely different set of horrific diseases, and they may even actually be carrying fungus that could cause problems. There's a type of fungus in Asia that actually attacks the optic nerve. I know an individual who was in the military in Vietnam, and he contracted this fungus that, literally rendered him blind because it ate his optic nerve.
Hey, and this chikungunya, that's showing up?
Yes, indeed.
Well, stay tuned, folks. We're on our last break. We'll be back to finish off today's show. Question, comment, phone lines are open. We'll be right back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. If you'd like to get a copy of this program, you may subscribe at FirstAmendmentRadio.com for only $45 a month, and you'll receive an MP3 CD weekly of all of our programs. As a bonus, we'll send you a password for our audio archives online. That's a $15 value. Or you may request any month of any program on one MP3 CD for a minimum donation of only $25, or any single program on tape, MP3 CD, or CD for only $15. You may do all of this online at FirstAmendmentRadio.com. Just follow the instructions to make a donation or subscribe. You may also adopt an hour of your favorite program. Please don't forget that most of the programs on FirstAmendmentRadio.com are listener-supported. Don't do Internet? Then call 559-781-3773 and we'll be honored to help you. Thank you from all of us here at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Back with the closing minutes of today's show. Randy Yarboro with you, my guest, Roger Brown. His website, thesociologycenter.com. thesociologycenter.com. To get the articles we've been discussing today, you can go to Dave Hodges' website, thecommonsenseshow.com. thecommonsenseshow.com. Scroll down a little ways, you'll see Hear Roger Brown, Exposed Death Squads. Punch on that, and then down in the article is the link to these three articles we've been talking about today. Get those, read them, check out Roger's website. And Roger, next show we do, I want to go into the child abuse allegation investigation instrument, and then your concise family defense manual to set these bureaucrats straight, because, well, the way it's set up is the county and state child protective services, they got to keep the paycheck flowing, so the more kids they get out of the house, out of the home, the bigger the check is that comes from the federal government.
That's exactly the problem. There's actually a quota system, and I documented that you can predict the number of children taken into custody from the amount of money they need to balance the agency's payroll. If we don't have a caller online, let me read you from the CDC website their description of Chagas. And it's important because some of these diseases are lifelong. Chagas disease has an acute and chronic phase. If untreated, infection is lifelong. Acute Chagas disease occurs immediately after infection, may last up to a few weeks or months, and parasites may be found in the circulating blood. Infection may be mild or asymptomatic. There may be fever or swelling around the site of inoculation where the parasite entered the skin or mucous membrane. Rarely, acute infection may result in severe inflammation of the heart muscle or the brain and the lining around the brain. Following the acute phase, most infected people enter into a prolonged asymptomatic form of disease called chronic intermediate. There's a benevolent term for you, during which few or no parasites are found in the blood. During this time, most people are unaware of their infection. Many people may remain asymptomatic for life and never develop Chagas-related symptoms. However, an estimated 20 to 30% of infected people will develop debilitating and sometimes life-threatening medical problems over the course of their lives. Complications of chronic Chagas disease may include heart rhythm abnormalities that can cause sudden death, a dilated heart that doesn't pump blood well, a dilated esophagus or colon, leading to difficulties with eating or passing stool. In people who have suppressed immune system, for example, due to AIDS or chemotherapy, Chagas disease can reactivate with parasites found in the circulating blood.
And with that, we've run out of time. Roger Brown,
thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for coming on, and you hang in there and stay safe.
Definitely have to do that on a daily basis.
Yes. And remember, folks, the question is not, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ? The question is, does he know you?
And of his fullness we have all received.
Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I pledge allegiance to the King of Kings and to his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation, and our Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
American Family News, I'm Chris Woodward. Secretary of State John Kerry will be staying in Switzerland at least until Thursday. U.S. officials say there has been enough progress in the talks with Iran on its nuclear program to extend the talks for another day. The initial deadline was Tuesday. For nearly a week, Iran and 6 world powers, including the U.S., have been discussing what an initial understanding should look like. 35 members of Congress have come to the defense of an embattled Navy chaplain with a decorated career of service.
Chaplain Wes Motter has been threatened by a Navy official with career-ending punishment because he expressed faith-based views on marriage and human sexuality in private pastoral counseling sessions. Now some lawmakers have intervened by sending a letter to Navy officials urging them to protect the religious freedom of Motter and other chaplains. Liberty Institute attorney Mike Berry is defending Chaplain Motter and says the message is clear.
That Congress intends to hold the Navy and the United States military, for that matter, accountable for the laws that they're bound by.
Berry says it's encouraging that congressional members are